The apartment echoed with too much silence. Evan stood barefoot on the cold hardwood floor, staring at the manila envelope in his hand. The divorce decree, signed and sealed. The living room still held shadows of a life built together, a wine stain on the rug from their anniversary, the faint outline of Riley's yoga mat near the window, and one forgotten earring resting on the edge of the windowsill. He hadn't cried when she left. Not when she packed her things in measured silence. Not even when she paused at the doorway, offered a half-smile, and said, "I need something more." But now, under the weight of finality, his throat tightened. His eyes drifted to the mirror above the fireplace. He barely recognized the man staring back, unkempt, thinner, older. Not from time, but from loss. "How did we get here?" he whispered, though no one was listening. Then cut to black. 1 year earlier, it all began with a New Year's toast and one offhand promise. "This year, I'm getting in shape." 6 months earlier, life moved like a warm, predictable current. Evan and Riley lived in quiet rhythms. Friday night Thai food on the couch, half-watched Netflix shows playing while they dozed off in each other's arms. Mornings began with mismatched mugs of coffee and sleepy forehead kisses. Theirs wasn't a passionate love, but a comfortable one, like an old sweater that no longer fit perfectly but was too familiar to discard. Evan worked in IT support, logging hours from home, rarely changing out of joggers. Riley taught second grade, exhausting but fulfilling. They spoke often but mostly in checklists, groceries, bills, whose turn it was to take out the trash. One morning, as Evan scrolled aimlessly through his phone, Riley lingered in front of the mirror. She tugged her shirt down over her hips, sighed, and turned away. "You ever gonna make that dentist appointment?" she asked. Evan shrugged, half smiling. Eventually. Neither of them said it aloud, but both felt it. Something was missing. Not broken, just stale. And neither knew what to do about it. It started at a New Year's Eve party, the kind where resolutions buzzed louder than champagne corks. Evan nursed a beer in the corner, making small talk with an accountant. Riley stood near the fire pit, catching up with Marla, a college roommate turned personal trainer whose Instagram was a parade of toned arms and motivational quotes. "You should see my 8-week transformations," Marla grinned, scrolling through before and after photos on her phone. "It's not about being skinny. It's about feeling unstoppable." Riley laughed politely, but something in her posture shifted. Later that night, as Evan tossed the empty pizza box, she stood brushing her teeth, staring again at her reflection. On January 2nd, she signed up for Marla's challenge, 8 weeks, clean eating, 5 classes a week. Day 1 nearly broke her. The rowing machine left her breathless, muscles screamed, sweat poured. But something strange happened too. She didn't hate it. By week 3, Riley had found her rhythm. She texted new gym friends about protein bars and sore quads. Her mornings began earlier. Her energy surged. Her cheeks glowed with more than just exertion. The mirror, once an adversary, became a measuring stick of progress. She didn't just look different. She felt alive. Evan noticed the change. "You're glowing," he said one night. "Thanks," she replied, already lacing up her sneakers. Spinning starts in 10. As she shut the door behind her, Evan stared at the takeout menu in his hand, not sure whether to cheer her on or wonder what it meant for them. By February, Riley's world had redrawn its center of gravity, and Evan could feel himself slipping out of orbit. She woke before sunrise now, her alarm buzzing at 5:30 a.m. sharp. Gone were the slow, shared mornings with mismatched mugs and lazy conversations. Instead, Evan would roll over to the faint scent of eucalyptus pre-workout and the distant thump of treadmill playlists. Their once playful breakfast kisses became drive-by pecks on the cheek. Dinners changed too. Out went their comfort food routines. In came grilled chicken, kale, and conversations about macros, calorie deficits, and how many grams of protein she'd nailed that day. Evan listened, nodded, even tried to care, but the jargon felt like a foreign language. He began to notice unfamiliar names lighting up her phone. Jess GYM flexed biceps, Spin Queen fire. She laughed more freely now, bright, unguarded laughter that rarely happened at home anymore. Sometimes she caught herself mid-sentence, eyes flicking toward him. "Sorry, you probably don't care about any of this," she'd say. He'd wave it off. "No, it's cool. I'm glad you're happy." But late at night, while she prepped overnight oats for the next morning, Evan stared at the TV alone, wondering when she started needing something more than what they had. And worse, when she'd stopped needing him. The breaking point came over something stupid: dirty dishes left in the sink after Evan's lunch break. Riley came home from work, sweaty from a late gym class, only to find the kitchen cluttered and the dishwasher still full. She exhaled sharply, set down her water bottle, and started scrubbing with unnecessary force. "It's not just the dishes, Evan," she snapped when he mumbled an apology. "It's everything. I come home exhausted, and it's like I'm dragging you through life with me." Evan blinked, caught off guard. "What are you talking about?" She turned, jaw tight, muscles tense beneath her fitted tank top. "You have no drive. No goals. I've been pushing myself to grow, and you've just stayed the same. That's not fair." "No," she said, voice rising. "What's not fair is feeling like I'm outgrowing my own marriage." Then came the words that didn't sound like her, but felt painfully true. "I think I can do better than this." 7 days later, he came home to an envelope on the counter. Divorce papers. Signed. Evan's new place smelled like old paint and someone else's cooking. A furnished sublet, cheap, beige, and barely personal. The couch sagged in the middle, the bed creaked when he turned, and the overhead light buzzed like it was mocking him. He lived mostly on microwave noodles and cereal. Work emails piled up. He skimmed them but rarely replied. Weekends bled into weekdays, the calendar a blur of sameness. He kept the blinds half closed. Not out of laziness, but because the sunlight felt accusatory. One photo made the move, their wedding picture. Riley, beaming in lace and wildflowers. Evan in a tux he'd rented and forgotten to return on time. They looked happy, genuinely happy. The frame sat on the dusty side table like a witness to his unraveling. Every few days, he'd check her Instagram. There she was, in filtered light, smiling at smoothie bowls, flexing post-spin, captioning selfies with mantras like, "Evolve" or "Stay stuck." Her glow-up felt unreal, scripted and shiny. He stopped liking her posts, though he never unfollowed. Instead, he lurked in silence, feeling like a ghost in a life he once co-wrote. The nights were the worst, not just for the loneliness, but for the quiet reminder that she hadn't just left. She had moved on. And he hadn't. Not yet. Sometimes, he'd talk to the framed photo. "I'm still here," he whispered once, drunk on warm beer and regret. "But I don't know who I'm supposed to be anymore." Riley's post-divorce glow had its moment. She downloaded the apps, posted polished selfies with motivational captions. Strong is the new sexy. Thriving, not just surviving. Matches rolled in fast. Tech guys, gym bros, overly confident finance types who asked for her favorite protein shake before even learning her last name. The dates were fine. Coffee with Cole, who mansplained macro splits. Dinner with Blake, who didn't believe in therapy. A rooftop happy hour with Jordan, who looked perfect on paper but spent the night checking his reflection in the window. She tried salsa class at a friend's suggestion. Her partner, a charming stranger with great rhythm, made her laugh. But when he asked what she did for fun and she listed meal prep and deadlifts, his smile froze. "Wow," he chuckled, "you sound kinda high-maintenance fitness-wise." It was a throwaway comment, but it landed hard. That night, she lay in bed scrolling through her own photos. The glow she'd cultivated felt oddly distant, like she was performing a life, not living one. Compliments came often but always skimmed the surface. No one knew she cried after spin class sometimes, or that she still slept on just one side of the bed. She wasn't looking for perfection. She just wanted to be seen. And lately, she wasn't sure anyone was really looking. It started with laughter, not his own. Evan was at the office for the first time in weeks, hunched over his laptop in the break room when he overheard two coworkers whispering near the microwave. "Did you see him? He looks like he's been living on ramen and regret." "Divorce'll do that, man." Poor guy's a shell. He didn't say anything, just packed up his lunch and left early. But the words followed him. That night, he found an old pair of running shoes in the closet. Dusty, worn, and forgotten. He signed up for a 5K charity run without telling anyone. No expectations, just movement. At first, jogging felt like punishment. But slowly, it became a rhythm. A release. He started waking up earlier, drinking more water, skipping the beer. The microwave meals were replaced with simple, fresh food. He felt his lungs strengthen, his thoughts clear. At therapy, something he delayed for months, he unpacked more than grief. He talked about his old dream of teaching, his love of woodworking, how he'd stopped investing in himself long before Riley left. He built a small table in the garage. Nothing fancy, just clean lines and solid work. For the first time in a long while, Evan didn't feel like he was waiting to be chosen. He was choosing himself. The panic hit her like a wave. Riley sat bolt upright in bed, chest tight, breath shallow, hands trembling. The glow of her phone lit the dark room. 3:08 a.m. Her mind raced with looping thoughts. Deadlines missed. Gym goals slipped. Another date ghosting her after too much honesty. She'd built her days around control. Meals weighed to the gram, steps counted, routines executed, but nothing quieted the growing sense that she was still falling short. Everyone else seemed to be winning, friends with babies, husbands, dream homes. She felt stuck in a carousel of curated smiles and internal chaos. She reached for her phone with shaking fingers, scrolled past group chats and Instagram notifications, then paused. One name felt safe, familiar. Evan. She hadn't spoken to him in weeks, but her thumb hovered, then tapped. He answered on the third ring, voice groggy but gentle. Riley. She swallowed hard, blinking back tears. I don't know why I called, she whispered. I didn't know who else would understand. And for a moment, neither of them spoke, just breathed together, like they used to. 2 weeks later, beneath a bright Saturday sun, Evan wandered through the farmer's market, canvas toad in hand. He looked different now, leaner, clearer-eyed, standing taller. His old hoodie fit looser across the shoulders, and his gait held quiet purpose. Across the rows of honey jars and sunflowers, Riley moved slowly between stalls, hair tied up, no makeup, wearing worn sneakers and a faded tee. She looked tired, but softer, more real than the glowing version she curated online. They noticed each other at the same time, a brief pause in motion. Then chaos. A nearby child tripped, knocking into a peach display. Fruit scattered in every direction. Riley crouched first, instinctively catching a rolling peach. Evan followed a second later, grabbing another as it hit his shoe. Their hands brushed. Riley laughed, nervous and surprised. Guess we're still good at cleaning up messes together. Evan smiled, handing her a bruised fruit. Some things never change. They stood for a beat, peaches in hand, smiles lingering. No heavy talk. No expectations. Just the warmth of shared history, and maybe, just maybe, the start of something not yet defined. They met for coffee the next weekend, seated across from each other at a quiet cafe tucked between a bookstore and a bike shop. No makeup, no pretenses, just two people who used to be everything to each other. Riley stirred her drink slowly. When I said I could do better than you, I didn't mean it. I think I was just trying to outrun how small I felt. The gym, the glow-ups, it was about control, not happiness. Evan nodded, eyes steady. I get it. I thought being comfortable meant we were solid. I stopped showing up. For you and for myself. They sat in the truth for a moment, unguarded. I thought if I fixed the outside, the inside would follow, she said, voice low. I thought if I stayed the same, you'd always stay with me, he replied. They talked for hours. About pressure, fear, comparison, shame. They laughed a little. Teared up once. No promises. No talk of reconciliation. Just two people, finally seeing each other again, flawed, unfinished, but real. They didn't move back in together, not right away. Instead, they rebuilt slowly, intentionally, like relearning the steps of a familiar dance. Sundays became sacred. They'd meet in Evan's kitchen, chopping veggies, prepping meals for the week, laughing over spilled quinoa and badly sliced sweet potatoes. One week, Riley invited him to her gym. The next, he took her jogging on his favorite trail. They weren't always in sync, but they were trying. Couples therapy came with its share of tension. Old wounds surfaced. Riley's fear of invisibility, Evan's tendency to emotionally retreat. But instead of shutting down, they stayed in the room. They listened. They created new rituals, handwritten gratitude letters exchanged every Friday, even if it was just, "Thanks for making me tea." Evening walks without phones, just them, hand in hand, beneath fading daylight. Some nights they fought. Some mornings felt distant. But the difference now was choice. They were choosing each other, not out of comfort, but with clarity. It wasn't a perfect love. It was an honest one, slowly being stitched back together, thread by thread. 6 months later, under a string of paper lanterns and the low hum of a summer breeze, Riley and Evan stood in their backyard surrounded by a handful of close friends and family. No tux, no gown, just simple clothes, bare feet in the grass, and hearts wide open. They read vows they'd written during therapy, unpolished, vulnerable, true. She promised to speak, not swallow. He promised to listen, not deflect. They both promised to grow, even if it meant growing through discomfort. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic gestures, just two people who had unraveled and rethreaded their love with their own hands. A week later, they crossed the finish line of a local fun run, side by side, breathless and grinning. Evan raised their joined hands in mock triumph. Riley laughed so hard she almost tripped. They didn't talk about being better anymore, because now they simply were better together.